Story 1. Exercise. I hate it with a kind of loathing I wasn't sure I was capable of. Unfortunately, given the severe mental issues I have, I also know that daily exercise is the only thing that mediates and rebalances me a bit so I don't expire. Right now, given back trouble, I am down to treadmill only. I push my heart rate to 130 to 138 beats per minute and hold for an hour. It will help a bit, but good grief, I hate it. Story 2. As part of my personal growth, I have committed to taking care of my home just as much as I take care of my body. Alongside my fitness routine, I have established a rigorous house cleaning schedule. To keep things manageable, I have streamlined most tasks into 30-minute sessions depending on how much there is to clean. However, I always include one particularly unpleasant or time-consuming chore, something messy, tedious, or physically demanding. I call these dark, dank adventures, and they have been great for clearing clutter and tackling neglected areas. I have noticed that when we are exhausted, we tend to put off tasks that require decision-making, like figuring out where to store something, responding to complex emails, or gathering information. These are easy to ignore but add up over time. Rather than attempting them first thing in the morning, I dedicate specific time to handle them, and it has been surprisingly effective. Story 3. The commute to work. I do not like driving because I am an aviation enthusiast. I would much rather be sitting in an Airbus A220 and being 30,000 feet above the traffic jam. Story 4. Honestly, showering. I hate the sensation of water on me and being wet in general, but every morning at 5 a.m. I am in the shower wishing I wasn't. Story 5. Taking my medication. It is not that I do not want to. It is that no matter how I try, the smallest pill always gets caught on my tongue, and it tastes horrible. Story 6. Brush my teeth. Everything that comes with eating because someone has to think about what to eat, prepare it, and clean up afterward. How are we supposed to do that 3 times a day? Story 7. Living every day with autoimmune diseases that are trying to kill me. They have given me a wonderful gift of being too sick to function. It is very challenging. Story 8. Trying to get to work depends on the weather because it determines the method I have to use to get to work. I recently injured my shoulder slipping on some ice near a sporting goods store. I even had to walk on the farthest right side of the street because of the danger posed by the ice on the sidewalk. Story 9. Take medication and use a continuous positive airway pressure machine. I am glad I am in a position to use them, but I wish it was not necessary. Story 10. Brushing my teeth before bed. I take my oral hygiene very seriously, but sometimes the last thing I want to do when I'm tired is brush my teeth. Story 11. Exercise. I have such a hard time getting started, but I am always so happy when I finally get it done. I think I am super prone to depression, and working out regularly is the only thing that helps. Story 12. Brushing and flossing my teeth. I dislike it very much. I joke that I look forward to death just so I do not have to worry about my teeth anymore. I have very soft teeth and I get cavities very easily even with the daily routine. Story 13. I do not mind going to work. I dislike getting ready for work. I suppose technically shaving, showering, brushing teeth, and dressing are all optional. Story 14. I love having clean dishes, a clean home, and clean streets. But doing the work is unpleasant. How long until we have a robot butler? Story 15. I have to do at least 2 loads of laundry every single day. I have a husband and 4 sons who are 17, 15, 8, and 4. So with work, school, sports, dating, and other activities, if I didn't do laundry every day, I would be buried in no time. Story 16. I really don't like sleep for a variety of reasons that I can talk about for ages. Unfortunately, I have to do it every day. Story 17. Living. I am depressed and anxious most of the time, but I have to stay alive for my family and my friends because if I were to end it all, they would miss me. Story 18. I exist in a way that my dad finds manageable for him. I have filed restraining orders against him. The last time he insisted on taking my car to his mechanic, who seemed popular enough in his town, he had it for almost 2 weeks for a job that should have taken a day. I think he just didn't pay him. He will be the biggest issue I deal with until he doesn't exist. and I have given up trying to have my own life until that happens. Story 19. I believe most people will say work. It is said that if you do a job that you like doing, then it will never feel like work. However, any job that I would enjoy doing would not pay enough to cover the bills. And here we are, work. Story 20. Getting out of bed. Cleaning the dishes after making breakfast. Going to work. Making dinner when I am still tired from being at work. Cleaning the dishes after making dinner. Story 21. Drinking a lot of water every day has been beneficial for me. I did it for 3 weeks straight to pass a drug test for a job. I drank around a gallon or more a day, I think. I never felt better and had more energy than ever before. I don't know if it was a placebo, but it felt great. However, it can be quite inconvenient having to urinate so often and convincing myself it's worth it to refill my water bottle every hour. Story 22. Driving down poorly maintained roads in the winter, potholes and folds combine to make a horrible, bouncy ride. Story 23. Going to the office. Not necessarily being there, but the drive there and back. The same road, the same scenery, every Monday through Friday. Story 24. Having to fart in my building's work elevator. The smell doesn't bother me, but the reactions from everyone else do. Story 25. Taking a break. I clean and I clean and I clean and I clean and I clean, but there is still more to remove. It's like wiping a marker. I guess I need more fiber. Story 26. I wake up feeling like I am coming up from underwater and breaking through the surface. I gasp and think, oh no, it is happening. Not again, not again. Story 27. Showering. I have major depressive disorder, medicated with little improvement. Showering is very difficult. It is a real struggle to get in there every day. Story 28. Controlling my borderline personality disorder with dialectical behavior therapy skills, because if I don't, I fall into a deep pit of despair, and it's hard to get out. Story 29. Hot take. Going to bed. I absolutely hate the whole process of having to get ready and just force myself to shut off. My brain is super active and it takes a while for it to understand its sleep time. Story 30. Brushing teeth. I had a routine for brushing my teeth. And then some people floss? What is wrong with you? Nobody flosses. Nobody. Can they? I went for 20 years without seeing a dentist. Finally, I went and there were no cavities. On the second visit, boom, a cavity. Coincidence? I think not. Seriously, who flosses every day? If I have food stuck in my teeth, I will floss. Story 31. I have to do at least 45 minutes of some sort of exercise. I will go into a full mental breakdown mode if I don't move my body enough. Story 32. I could do without eating, honestly. I don't like it enough to justify spending this much money and time on it unless I'm going for gourmet food. If I just eat because I have to, I dislike it and I would rather take pills or something. I would just like the option, you know? Story 33. Just like a lot of people who say to figure out what to eat, I am also going to focus on figuring out what to wear. Story 34. Putting on sunscreen can be inconvenient. Imagine needing protection from a source of vitamin D. Not everyone has to do it, but what happens if you don't is up to your discretion. Story 35. Sleep. I dislike it. I always have. I would rather spend those 5 to 6 hours doing something like writing, reading, or playing video games. I experience nightmares when I am really stressed, which started about a year ago, so I would just prefer not to sleep at all. Story 36. Feeding my cats. Not because I don't love them, though. These ungrateful creatures look at me in disdain because I had the audacity to give them the tuna and chicken instead of the salmon and turkey. Then they whine and act out for an hour like petulant mini-complainers before eating some of their dry food and finally deciding their wet food is acceptable after all. If they were humans, I would file for divorce. But they are so incredibly adorable when they curl up next to me on the couch or loaf by the bedroom door to protect me when I go to sleep. Story 37. Waking up early to go to work. I love my job, but I work early hours at 6 or 6:30 a.m. daily and have about a 1-hour commute to the city. So most days, I wake up between 4 and 5 a.m. Story 38. Working full-time, I miss working part-time and being able to afford life while having more than 2 full days off to try to recoup after a long work week. I also miss having a weekday off or working a short weekday shift. So many people have weekends off that being in public drives me crazy because everyone else seems to work the same schedule I do. Luckily, I work remotely, so I don't have to endure typical work travel traffic. Story 39. Get up. I have multiple sclerosis. Chronic fatigue is my biggest struggle. Getting out of bed is the hardest part of my day, has been for 20 years now, and likely will be for the rest of my life. Some days I just do not want to fight it anymore, but I have to because I am too stubborn to give up. Story 40. Something that sucks and I have to do it every day, vacuuming. Yes, that's what I was getting at. Story 41. Take an insulin shot. The needle only slightly bothers me, but the burden it places on me and others keeps us tied to a daily injection. Story 42. Exercise. I always tell myself, I only do a couple of sets, but then I eventually complete my entire routine. Story 43. Pretending to care about a coworker's drama, home life, hobbies, and so on. I wish it was socially acceptable to just say I couldn't care less and walk away. Story 44. I'm not sure what is going on, but it feels like everywhere I go, I run into ignorant, arrogant people who think they know everything and unprofessional supervisors, managers, and business owners who lack professionalism, ethics, and basic education. It is exhausting dealing with incompetence, attention seekers, and sheer stupidity on a daily basis. Story 45. Check the news as an American. My first thought every morning is, I wonder if the world is still out there? This is followed by, oh no, yes, it wasn't just a nightmare. Story 46. See the damage Trump is doing. Today, he doubled down on attacking Zelensky and spewing even more word-for-word Russian propaganda talking points. Story 47. Maybe you could pierce the cap several times with a pin first to help speed up its digestion or breakdown, or you could just put it in half of an empty cap to help it get past your tongue. Just thinking, but the old trick of medicating pets by covering it in cheese or bread before popping it in your mouth. Of course, you could try something else, even powdered sugar. Story 48. Exercise. Sometimes it is exciting and empowering, but most days do not feel like that. You have to find the strength to do it every day for your health and longevity, and that is very, very hard for a lot of people, myself included. Story 49. Being awoken in the morning by my mom and my sister to drive them to the bus stop, which is a 12-minute walk, can be quite frustrating. I live at home for free, so it is a favorable arrangement. However, it can still be quite annoying. Story 50. Cleaning my cat's litter boxes every day, twice a day. Otherwise, they urinate somewhere that makes me much more unhappy. Story 51. Work. I really dislike it. I hate that I work hard and I cannot even afford nice things. Story 52. Dealing with chronic health issues. When I am asleep, it is wonderful, but once I get out of bed, it is right there with me all day. Story 53. I work in a project management team while working from home. Every day we use Microsoft Outlook and multiple Excel spreadsheets to monitor and update project developments. It's absolute chaos. I have repeatedly lobbied for us to use project management tools for this work but have been refused. So, there we are, every day, manually updating and correcting multiple spreadsheets, and using Outlook's inadequate search function to look for data or to find confirmation that a particular step is complete. We've wasted perhaps hundreds of times what such software licenses would have cost due to lost productivity and risk of error since we started this project. But every day we just have to keep going. I really dislike it. Story 54. Cleaning the kitty litter box. I hate it, and it is disgusting, but I love my cats. They want it clean. Story 55. Cleaning the litter box. It is gross, stinky, and never-ending, but if I do not do it, my cat will definitely let me know. Story 56. Fighting my own body because it keeps coming up with new ways to harm me, and I keep fighting it every day. I have been for 35 years. I am exhausted. Story 57. Brushing my teeth. I was never taught to do it as a child, so the habit was never instilled in me. But I am not unaware. I am an adult now who is aware of the consequences of poor hygiene. So I brush my teeth. But it feels like such a chore. I think because it wasn't a habit established from the start for me, I do not get the "oh no, I forgot to brush my teeth" reaction that I notice many responsible adults experience. Therefore, I do not really see it as doing something good for myself, even though I know that tooth pain is unpleasant, and poor dental hygiene is unappealing and costly. I also have to actively remind myself to do it every day and night. There's no little routine mindset that just triggers and makes me do it on autopilot. Story 58. Scoop out the cat litter box. If I don't do it every day, my puppies will try to eat the waste. Gross. Story 59. Sleeping. I hate sleeping. If I could be refreshed and alert on 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, I would be happy. Story 60. Morning. Brush my teeth, floss, wash my face, put on moisturizer, comb my hair, make up my bed. Nighttime. Take throw pillows off my bed, brush my teeth, floss, wash my face, put on moisturizer, fill up my continuous positive airway pressure chamber with water, put in my mouth guard. There is more, but you get the picture. Story 61. Listen, people use the word sucks. And it is really vulgar and low class. Cannot stand it. Story 62. Cleaning my cat's litter box. However, I make it better by imagining a dog owner walking their dog in the freezing cold. Story 63. This phone call. My name is name from company funeral services, and we brought your mother into our care last night. I'm really sorry for your loss. Story 64. Pay bills, also knowing that every time I clock in at work, my taxes are taken out for Social Security, which I will probably never see the light of day. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.